Welcome to MRS Bulletin Society News. My name is Gopal Rao, and I am the Chief Editor for Technical Content with the Materials Research Society, MRS, and also editor of MRS Bulletin, our publication. I'm very pleased today to be talking with Dr. Carolyn Duran, the current president of the Materials Research Society. Dr. Duran is a vice president at Intel Corporation for the Data Center and AI Group. And she also manages memory and I/O technologies for Intel. In addition, she is also an adjunct professor of material science and engineering at Northwestern University. So Carolyn, welcome, and thank you very much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gopal. I'm glad to be here.
So our focus today is on a very critical topic, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, within MRS. So MRS's DEI aspiration is that the Materials Research Society embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion by actively engaging our diverse global membership, supporting the careers of underrepresented researchers, and investing in community actions to address bias and inequities. Can you give us some perspective on how the MRS DEI aspiration statement evolved? Why is DEI so important to MRS?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do so. So as a board, I think we have to recognize that we are on a journey, and this will always be the case as we strive to continue to improve. I find it hard to imagine, yet the reality is that we're still dealing with biases, inequities, discrimination in now 2022. And so as a society and as a board, we thought carefully about the language such that what we were aspiring to do was meaningful to our membership. And so while it's not new, it's something that's evolved over time. It reinforces our long-standing MRS's core value of being inclusive and egalitarian by recognizing diversity as a driver for innovation and excellence. And that's something even in my day job we focused in on, is getting that diversity of input so we get really strong output in terms of our results and our deliverables and our innovation. In addition, MRS's racism, discrimination, and inequality statement identifying bias and intolerance as unethical is something that drives us every day, and we need to continue to recognize and work on. Our aspiration of engaging, supporting, and most importantly, investing in all members supports our mission to advance interdisciplinary materials research and technology to improve that quality of life.
I wonder if you could expand upon that a little bit. What exactly does the DEI aspiration mean to our members and the materials community?
Yeah, if you look at it at its base, it really means that all of our members, not a subset, and whether it's affiliation, if it's gender, if it's ethnicity, what have you, we're all encouraged and provided the opportunity to meaningfully engage with the community and contribute to the future of our field. And part of the aspirations of the society is to help those who might not be able to engage directly or don't have that easy path to engagement, to give them those tools to engage and help provide those opportunities for them. We have dedicated MRS programs, we have funds, we have workshops, we have webinars for the underrepresented groups. And those help provide essential career discovery and skill development opportunities for that next generation of the community. Some get that naturally, some need extra help. We want to be here for them all.
So that's really excellent. And I wonder if you could get a little bit into the specifics and talk more about some of the MRS DEI programs.
So we have a long tradition in the MRS with the women's in material science engineering programs, starting back in 1999. It's grown over the years. We have the popular women's breakfast speakers at the MRS spring and fall meeting. The last fall meeting was really exciting to reignite that again in presence, if you happen to be able to attend in person for the fall meeting. And we've had workshops, and now we have an MRS Career Central webinar and resources available as well. In addition, we added the diversity awareness webinar series that's now held annually in October, and that highlight life skills, career skills, inclusive practices, which we can all learn from every day. And then finally, in the fall meeting this year in 2021 as well, we launched a new special interest group section as part of our new diversifying materials efforts. So in addition to the women group that we've had for years, as I mentioned, we are seeking all of you to help support these special interest groups, which they're called SIGs, focusing on award nominations to make sure we don't have implicit bias in the way we nominate and select awards. We have diversity in academia. We have underrepresented racial and ethnic minority students and researchers of color. And then finally, LGBTQ+ researchers. So these are all new SIG programs where we're looking for volunteers who have passion around this area or these areas to engage and help us learn as a society and become better as a society in our DEI aspirations.
Yeah, I think these sound like an excellent start to your year as MRS president, for sure. How is, looking at things a bit more broadly, how is MRS working to promote DEI in the broader scientific community?
Oh, that's a great question, Gopal. And I think that in addition to what we can do at the meetings, which touches a broad swath of researchers, academics, industry, and national labs, we've also done more formal engagements with other partners. So one of the ways that we do this is we're a founding member of the NSF Includes Alliance, and that inclusive graduate education network where we're collaborating with scholarly societies and other organizations, since this is a common challenge and a common journey we should take together, where we can focus together on equality and inclusion in the graduate education process. Quite a large portion of our membership are students, and so this is a natural way for us to engage. In the coming year, in 2022, we'll be focusing on disseminating those inclusive practices and mentoring training developed by our IGEN partners. So giving all of us the tools of the trade to help make sure we recognize where we can be more inclusive and start to take specific action in those areas. As we support our aspiration for community action in the same space, we are working with the NSF Includes Aspire Alliance, the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, and the University of Wisconsin-Merced on resources and trainings to break those bias habits and promote inclusive professional organizations.
Yeah, I really look forward to see how these go and where these go in the coming near term. I think it'll be very interesting. So to sort of close and conclude, what can and what should our members and the materials community know about MRS's DEI aspiration in terms of how they could engage with what we are doing?
Great question, Gopal. So there's a couple of things. First and foremost, I want to make sure that our membership understands that the purpose behind this, the inclusive society of being more inclusive, helps provide us better outcomes, right? So better experiences for the researchers, better research that starts to come out of this. And so it's important for all of us to play a part and recognize those biases. You can find more details on our programs in the DEI website at mrs.org programs/outreach, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ultimately, as with everything we do at MRS, this is based on volunteers and our membership participating. So I mentioned the SIGs that we just started. We have lots of opportunity to engage. We want to hear your voices on how inclusion matters to you. We want to learn from you. We want to help provide you information if you're seeking to learn and bring those folks together. So you can look into the About MRS and contact us or volunteer at mrs.org to find different ways you can engage. Really encourage each of you to think long and hard about the SIGs and if there's a way you can contribute to the betterment of our society in this really important area and help make a difference.
I agree completely. I think this is an extremely important area, and it's great to see MRS being so engaged in this. So thank you, Carolyn, very much for talking with me today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
My name is Gopal Rao from the Materials Research Society. For more news, please visit the MRS Bulletin website at mrsbulletin.org. You can also follow us on Twitter Our handle is @MRS Bulletin. Thanks again to Dr. Duran, and thank you for listening.